Right, time to turn to the papers. For you, we begin with the Guardian newspaper, which has quite a number of headlines, as always, this morning. The star story here reads, cash scarcity worsens as banks upgraded digital platforms. Fault. Well, I also had my experience this morning in this regards. You know, Mike, when you talk about banks, for example, there's always almost no way you can separate it from people's livelihoods, because whatever you've worked hard for, materially speaking, goes to your bank account. Now, the trauma, so to speak, comes when you are not able to access this money. I've been trying to use the USSD service of my bank the entire morning. Hasn't worked. So these days, we will have to set a reminder for 12 a.m. because some people say, well, that's when most of the banks are up and running. But the question is, having had a long and tiring day, how many persons really have that energy? All right, so wake up that late just because you want to pull off a transaction and things like that. So if these platforms by these banks have been upgraded like we're told, then it means that they should be optimally deployed in such a way that Nigerians will not have to suffer unnecessarily. Some persons have also said, well, one of the challenges some of these banks, the commercial banks in particular, are having is a chunk of their good hands, as they say in tech, have done the so-called jackpot. So trying to fill that gap now has been a challenge for them. But you see, we can't always find excuses for mediocrity. Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. The fintech guys, the digital banks, are not having that problem. So what are they doing differently? Or could it be that the difference is the volume of transactions or the nature of technology used? What exactly is the problem? The CBN has to step in beyond just the nominal or conventional regulatory framework in place to ensure that customer service does not drop below an allowable standard. All right. Let's continue with the Guardian quickly, everyone here. There's some infographics on the front of the Guardian, as is always the case, but you can read it up, talking about POS as well. Court remands Yahaya Bello in Kuje pending bail application. We understand, according to the judge, that bail application was not properly filed. There were irregularities in the procedure, so there were procedural issues. But again, it's a subject of litigation now. We'll let it be until such a time when it's allowed to discuss it. ASU strike, students suspend planned protest, issue 48-hour ultimatum. Cybercrime law, defamation now weapons of prosecution. NGE Serap say, that's Nigerian Guild of Editors and Serap. You see, that law, Mike, in itself is a bit of a concern, the Cybercrime Act, and then of course there's the issue of the defamation issue and stuff like that. But you know, I think lawyers should understand these issues better. And then for those of us in the media, it's always very concerning because there have been pieces of evidence that this act, the Cybercrime Act, infringes on the rights, the free speech rights, you know, and things like that. And you can't talk about free press and not about free speech. I mean, they go hand in hand, don't they?
When you look at the fact that the argument, if it's a criminal, if it's also a civil matter,
right,
and all of those defense coming from defamation. But I really feel issues like this should be, properly, trial in the courts. Where we saw Dele being handcuffed, it sparked a whole lot of concern.
Right.
He's not a criminal. Why is it being handcuffed? And then we've also seen criminals or those even alleged with, bigger criminality cases, walking freely
with overwhelming evidence.
With evidences and crowd sharing and all that. So it sends a signal for the fact that let's also try to make sure that we interpret the law as it is. Bringing someone from Lagos to Ekiti to trial, on a case that is not a criminal case, it's not a case that is really, after the country, the peace or the security of the nation, and all of those are concerned about. So that interpretation, of course, the defamation, yes, we might agree with Mr. Afe over whatever Dele might have written, which is probably detrimental to his personality. But we are only saying that the precedents we are setting, that one can say, I've said something, I have evidences. If you want me to provide the evidences, let's try it in the courts in a way, but not in a way of intimidation. So that has really sparked a lot of concern. Lawyers have tried to make some defense. MB have spoken about all of the case, but in all of that, it goes back to the fact that whatever we do today, it also has a way of fighting back tomorrow. So the matter is still in court. We've also said that they have also adjourned that till December 20 for further trial. But the precedent that will be set at the end of the matter may be used subsequently. So it must be something that they pay attention to.
Wonderful way to put it, Mike. Let's move on and see a few more headlines for you this morning from the Guardian newspaper. One here says, consumers NERC kick as Disco pushes for 240 naira kilowatts tariff. What that means is that consumers and the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission are now getting vexed over the push by distribution companies to charge 240 naira per kilowatts of energy. That's by way of tariff used by Nigerians. Before now, we were doing 206 naira, and Nigerians were complaining, and we saw how that rubbed off on the prices of essentials, goods and services. But now, if you're moving it further from 206 naira kWh to 240, that's a margin of 36 naira. Is a whole lot, because there are businesses that use as much as 200 or even more kilowatts hour every day. So how do they pay for that? Energy costs, we must be clear, is one of the reasons businesses are failing in Nigeria. Of course, you've seen businesses, multinationals, most of them, they've left their foot up. Some have had to sell off. Some have had to cut back on their operations, downsize. Of course, you know what that means for the labor market in a country where over 50% of the graduates we churn out from our tertiary institutions every year don't have opportunities to work, and now you're laying people off because you don't seem to have a better option than that. So it means that fundamentals must be addressed. Like we said a while ago, if as a country, as a people, we deal with the main issues, the minor issues will by nature, by default, fix themselves. But you see, we can't go really further economically and socially until we address issues around energy. These days we hear band A, band this, band that. Some people don't know what bands they are in until the bill comes at the end of the month.
I mean, the high cost of electricity is still a very much concern. We've also seen some states making move, to have their own laws.
To go independent.
In distributions and generating and all of that. But is it sustainable at the end of the day? Do we still have to fall back to the national grid that we have, which is controlled by the federal? Even if you have the opportunity and the capacity to distribute and all of that, what happens to the generations and all of that? So a major concern is about that the tariff is high. When we look at the fact that we are still grappling with many economic reality, and then the increase of the tariff and all of that is still biting very hard on the businesses. So government must pay attention to a particular sector like that of electricity to see what they can do to cushion the effect of the hardship. Yes, we know that the subsidy cannot be sustainable and all of that, but can we see also the fact that even the band area, those banding, are they still having access to the 18 hours of power that have been promised and all of that? So what happens when they have no power? Some people are saying that some of their tariff is being wasted and all of that. So it's still a concern. Electricity and the power hand in hand. Businesses today are being affected by that. So we must begin to encourage entrepreneurship, as you rightly said, because businesses are already closing down, and of course the population we have in unemployed statistics we have is still a major concern. So electricity, the Minister of Power said, the management of electricity is a very sad situation in Nigeria, that people should be putting off their devices or when they're about leaving homes and all of that, compared to UK and all these developing countries that they manage electricity so well compared to Nigeria. But that's not really should be the concern. Nigerians are ready to pay, but if you're paying, how about infrastructure? When the transformers are not working, are you paying attention to that? There are still blackouts in some cities today. We are ready to pay, but they have to grapple with the reality of trying to fix the transformers and all of that. So this course should also work. And the moment we are working and interacting with the consumers can also understand that we have to pay for what we are consuming. So it's a given, it's a two-way in. Let that be a connection between the schools and the consumer, because this schools only come for the money. This school only increase the tariff. What happened to the interest of the consumer? That's still a major concern.
I think the NRC should not, NERC, yes, I should say, NERC should not just only get angry, they should take action, because there's a mandate setting up the NERC. There's an act to that effect as well. So what should the NERC be doing under circumstances such as we have right now? All right, FG suspends energy tariff review as 4-month subsidy hits 768.68 billion naira. FG suspends energy tariff review as 4-month subsidy hits 768.68 0.68 billion naira. That's still in the power sector, by the way. And then the big elephant in the room. It says tax reforms. Southern reps back Tinubu as stakeholders clash over VAT hike economic impact. Well, overall, what I've heard recently is that there has to be a review, there has to be wider consultation. We hope that happens real soon. Okay, Tinubu commits to delivering promises. Lord's Interior Minister, we understand that just yesterday, President Tinubu actually launched the Technology Innovation Complex of the Nigerian Immigration Service. It is called the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Technology Innovation Complex, BATIC. So the president says he was delighted at what he saw yesterday, and some people say, well, for a president who is apparently extremely busy, making out time for such an occasion means that this was at the very center of his renewed hope agenda.
I will give it to the minister. The content of what they'll be doing from there is highly technologically driven, you know, to monitor who comes into the country, to look at our borders, and also monitor situations from there. So it's a good, the Minister of Interior have been up and doing. I also recall what process it took Nigerians to get a passport, and so the minister came into board and of course started making some procedures to reduce all of those stress and sometimes delays of getting a passport. So in a way, we must begin to also see how we can, have cut short of human and physical, interaction. Because from the airport, we have also had cases of immigration officers, compromising, from visitors and all of that. So this technology that have been deployed, I think the minister said, will help checkmate who comes into the country at what, and the borders, monitor situations at the border, different border from Abuja here and all of that. So it's a kudos and a good one for the minister. This also gets back to the point that many attentions have been given to the ministers at their respective ministries. What are you doing? The president cannot be everywhere.
Right.
The president cannot also monitor situations everywhere. No matter how he said the president is the head of the organization, is the head of government, is the number one. Ministers must, at their own local level, at their own ministry,
do their parts.
The tangible thing.
Right.
Those are what the aviation minister is also doing to see how he can, address the issues of aviation sector. So ministers at all levels should also do their best, because the funds are at their disposal. Ministries, allocations, and all of that. What are you using for? Show the right path, give a direction, and things will fall in places. So having this from the Ministry of Interior is a very good one, and of course, just as the president, I've lauded the minister.
All right, now that's a great way to leave it, everyone. But let's now leave the Guardian newspaper for a second and then turn to the Nigerian Tribune. Mike has all of those details.
All right, over to Nigerian Tribune. This morning, big story, reps Southern caucus backs tax reform bills. Right to the story says, ready for negotiation with Northern lawmakers. What tax reform bills will do for Nigerians? Fiscal Responsibility Commission reacting. Our stance aligns with Tinubu's vision. That's coming from RMS 50. This is still stakeholders' reaction to the issues of tax reform. I recall that the Senate had asked the AGF to meet with the committee that was set up so as to review some of the gray areas and where it's really sparking controversy. Some Northerners are now out again to say, look, we are not really entirely, against the bill. What we are only concerned is that the proper consultation was not made in the engagement of our people and all of that. And that's the reason why the president advised that all of these interaction must be made at that local level to also integrate everyone, to this bill, because it looks that it will address the issues of multi-taxations and all of those concerns. But majorly, this also goes back to the point that it was looking as if it's a fight between the South and the North, but gradually let people know the contents of the bill. Those that are arguing from the point of ignorance, they do not know the proper content of the bill, what this bill seeks to address. So I think that's really the beginning of the conversation about how we can attempt to look at this bill. So the Southern caucus from the House of Representatives are backing this bill, are saying that it is a good direction and it means well for Nigerians, and stakeholders are also commending as well. So we're looking forward to seeing what comes up. Second reading was already, the bill had already scheduled the second reading, so we're looking forward to the next action that will be coming from the National Assembly. And now, still from the House of Reps, Reps put CBN over scarcity of Naira note. That was on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. A lot of concern again about the scarcity of Naira. Recall what happened at the redesigning of our Naira note, what it really had triggered in this country. And just yesterday, I tried to withdraw the I had cases where what the figures that have been, multiplied in terms of withdrawal charges is still a very sad situation. So what happens to businesses, just as you said, that wants to get funds? Get to the POS, you get to the ATM machines from the banks,
right.
No network, no funds, and all of that. You try as much as possible to access banks. Banks said we can only give you a 10,000, 20,000, and all of that. So it gets back to the fact that all of these are having impact on businesses are having to do transactions and all of that. So we shouldn't get back. Now that it's already a festive period, so CBN must address the issue of scarcity. What is happening to Naira? Is it because of the pressure of the festive season where people are coming with their dollars to exchange with Naira? So that those have said why the Naira have dropped. It's because of the high demands. Why the dollar have dropped is because of the high demand of the Naira. So, but we shouldn't completely have a scarcity this time again because we understand what it means. Charges are increasing from the POS, and ATM must begin to have funds to also address all of this scarcity, and that's why the reps have made moves to put up the CBN over the scarcity note. Tinubu appoint Oguntumiji as acting accountant general of the Federation. Recall that accountant general of the Federation retired, and now the president has reappointed Ogunjimi as the acting accountant general of the Federation. You can find that story on the page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Court postpones Fautomis bail application till December 20. That's on page 4. And alleged 110 billion naira for the court remands Yaya Bello in Kuje prison. John case till January 29. And that's on page 16. Nigeria records 467,000 tuberculosis cases in 2023. That's a special report. Workers shut down WAEC offices nationwide over salary review and sacked staff. That's coming from WAEC workers' reactions over issues of salary review and the package, and a lot of more concern about workers. Non-implementation of minimum wage is still ongoing. Some states are still struggling to either pay them 70,000 or whatever they tend to have the capacity to pay. So, issues of implementation, workers' welfareism. Because when we look at how our institutions are compromising, it gets back to the point that those are pointing fingers. Are you taking care of the workers?
Right.
At the different ministries, how much are they earning? How much are they getting to also address the issues of them compromising the point of their duty? So it goes back to the point of would I say welfareism packages, or how we also tend to take care of our workers. We must prioritize our workers' welfareism, because if the workers are not well, taken care of, they have a way of affecting the institutions, that we have.
That's right. It's interesting, but you see, that conversation looks like something we're not really talking in front of us just yet, right? Incidentally, I'm coming into the office this morning, and then someone and I are having that same conversation about labor laws, workers' welfare, what the ideal minimum standards at least should be. But again, maybe we are too busy over other things that we don't want to have that conversation just yet. But you see, the longer we leave these issues unattended to, the more complicated the problems become for the next generation ahead of us.
A lot of concern, and Tinubu inaugurates immigration innovative complex and comments to Georgia. That's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. We'll now get straight to the Nation newspaper to have more stories and headlines coming from that.
All right, let's turn to the Nation for you. We begin with the headlines above the nameplate of it. One with a picture of Edo State's governor talking about Monday Okpebholo, who, by the way, marks his first month in office, first 28 days today. All right, time flies, they say. A few weeks ago, it was a bit of a back and forth between the Okpebholo team and the immediate past governor Obaseki's team with regards to transition committee and all of that. Those are the fighting that happened, but all of that is behind us now. Today we are now looking at what exactly is he doing differently from the last administration. But this headline here says Edo proposes 606 billion naira, Abia 750, Ondo 655 for 2025. That's talking about appropriation for the fiscal year 2025. The governor did his own presentation already yesterday, and hopefully the House of Assembly passes early enough so that implementation begins to help us have across the subnationals and of course at the federal level January to December budgetary cycle, which has been an issue for a long time. Moving on now, we have one here that says fresh 110 billion naira approved for student loan. The writer says 120,000 got 12 billion naira. You can read all those details on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Then top right corner of the front page, Judge sends Bello to Kuje prison adjourns till January 29. Nigeria attains full integration of security immigration data. That's what President Bola Tinubu had commissioned yesterday, courtesy of the Internal Affairs Ministry, or what we now call the Ministry of Interior, under the leadership of Dr. Tunji Ojo. All right. What's more, the Star story here says Reps Southern Caucus backs tax reforms bills. OK's talks. Ongoing debate healthy, says Information Minister. Afro Babalola gives conditions for truce with Farotimi. Magistrate remands lawyer in prison till December 20. What exactly are the conditions Mr. Babalola is presenting to Barrister Farotimi? Well, you can read it up on today's issue of the Nation newspaper. We have our last headline from this paper at the very foot of it. It says revenue has grown by 45% under Tinubu, says RMAFC, that's Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Committee, the agency of government in charge of issues around allocation. In fact, we understand that their mandates also includes issues around these tax reforms that we're talking about, the structures for it, particularly as it has to do with the VAT element, that is the value-added tax. But you see, Nigerians need to be educated every day about these issues, otherwise we'll be having a debate that is born out of ignorance and parochial sentiments. Incidentally, that's what we have for you from the Nation newspaper. The next part of call is the Punch newspaper.
And I'll straight up to the Punch newspaper this morning. 2027 presidency. Atiku Obi alliance counts on seats. Tinubu declares APC. That's on page 2. Writer says PDP insists alliance will help rescue Nigeria from the current pens as SDP, ABGA, others are coalition. And those reactions in respect to the 2027 presidency. I recall the secretary to the federal government said the North should wait till 2031. Atiku should wait till 2031. And Atiku also had to reply that comment saying, look, you're not God. You can't really say who should be and where it should go to. Issues should be left for the parties and the political parties to struggle it out, and that people and Nigerians can vote Tinubu based on the present conditions. So there was these threats of war words between the former vice president and the secretary to the federal government, who was arguing about the 2027 presidency, why the North should give the support to the South to complete the 8 years. And now talks on alliance over Atiku and Obi coming together to unseat Tinubu is still ongoing, and the PDP are insisting that this will help Nigeria from the current pens. SDP and ABGA have also been linked up to this coalition. That you can read from page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Judge remands Yaya Bello. Lawyers plan the French bail application on page 7. AFG to sanction airlines over delayed ticket refund. That's on page 27. And this still goes back to the efforts made by the Minister of Aviation with respect to addressing many consumers and customers' challenges. Tax reform reps may resume debate as Southern Caucus prepares for talks. Tribal Government Sisters allegedly shot by police escorts dies. That's on page 14. Our heart goes out to the family of the tribal governors, of course, whose sister have been shot by the police escorts. Fortunately, police allege witness intimidation of opposed bail application. On relocation dispute, FG cancels 64 billion naira Osun airport approval. That's on page 27, right there on the Punch. These are the few stories coming from the Punch, and of course, still a repetition of what we had earlier from other. Of course, you can catch more to get proper details on all of these headlines coming from the Punch this morning. We'll get straight to our last paper, the Daily Trust.
Let's bring you big headlines from the Daily Trust quickly. The first one here, which is of course the Star headline, reads, Reps ask CBN to address cash crunch. The writer tells us Apex Bank tightens news on fintechs. Of course, that's the way to go, so at least we can boost trust and confidence in the financial sector. ECOWAS may formalize Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger exit. Of course, the leadership of the Economic Community of West African States under President Bola Tinubu has made efforts to get these three West African nations to come back to the fold, but that's not the kind of integration they are looking at. Instead, all three of them are now forming their own alliance, their own front, especially now that they've severed ties with France, and Nigeria conversely is heading towards the French government. All right, let's see what more we can find here at the foot of the paper. Police recover fake $3.3 million, 1.9 million CFAs, 1.4 million in Kano. Has that big picture in front of you. As a matter of fact, like a canvas, two pictures with three young men behind this cash find. Rice Commission receives 2 million violation complaints annually. That's quite a volume. Rice Commission receives 2 million violation complaints annually. Nigeria, far from fighting institutional corruption, World Bank. Hopefully we take that seriously. You can find those details on page 6 of today's issue of the Daily Trust newspaper. Nigeria, far from fighting institutional corruption. Hopefully we find the courage and take initiative to address all of these issues being raised right now. But those are all the headlines we have for you from across our national dailies this morning. We have two big conversations in front of us. One actually, for the most part, focusing on the issues of insecurity, particularly in Zamfara State. But then we realize that security is such a way that once it sneezes, insecurity, once it sneezes in one part of the country, the entire nation catches cold. We'll let you in on that conversation right after the AM news that comes up at top of the hour. Do stay with us on Global Morning.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
And a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the to AM News and Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Amina Jibril. Now, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Night Comsat. Appointed Shamsul, Acting Accountant General of the time and leave of the incumbent AGF Oluwatoyin Madian. This was revealed in a special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. Onanuga said his appointment is effective immediately. And President Bola Tinubu has commissioned the Nigeria Immigration Services Technology Innovation Complex at its headquarters in Abuja. President Tinubu was received by the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, and the Comptroller General of Immigration, Kemi Nandab. The data complex comprises the Command and Control Center, Regular Migration, NIS Data Center, ECOWAS Biometric Card Production Center, Interior Data Center, and a 0.5 kilowatt solar power plant. In her opening address, the Comptroller General of Immigration, Kemi Nandab, said the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Technology Innovation Complex will ascertain the risks level of persons entering the country, detect irregular migration patterns, and monitor unmanned borders in hard-to-reach areas nationwide. And the newly elected president, Nigeria Union of Journalists and UJ Comrade Al-Hassan Yahya Abdullahi, paid a courtesy visit to the All Progressives Congress APC National Chairman Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. According to a statement issued by the SSA to the National Chairman on Visual Communication and Events, Aminu Ahiru Ahmed, the NUJ president was at the party headquarters in Abuja. The statement said Comrade Al-Hassan Abdullahi was received by the Chief of Staff to APC National Chairman and J President Comrade Muhammadu Garba and the National Legal Advisor of the party, Professor Abdul Karim Kana. And the National Orientation Agency, NOA, has said that it will translate the proposed tax reform bills and other critical national issues into 36 Nigerian understanding and engagement. The Director General of the agency, Lanre Isaonilu, represented by the Director, Personnel, Research and Statistics, NOA Headquarters, Abuja, Inoa Yusuf Kobi, said this at a town hall meeting in Maiduguri. Isaonilu said the initiative would counter misinformation and promote a better understanding of the tax reform, designed to simplify the tax system, eliminate multiple taxation, and ease the burden on low-income Nigerians. According to him, misinformation on social media has led to the politicization of the tax reform bills and stressed the need for public enlightenment through local languages and community engagement. Also in the news, the Senate Committee on Power has clarified that the 2023 Electricity Act does not grant states the authority to enforce technical electricity standards. In a goodwill message delivered at the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA's 4th edition of the Stakeholders Roundtable for the Enforcement of Technical Standards, Regulations and Mandates in Abuja, the committee chairman, Senator Eyinaya Abaribe, urged for an amendment to the 2023 Act. He emphasized that the law should explicitly prevent states from enforcing technical standards, stressing the need for the federal law to supersede state law in this area. Just as he warned that a clear legal framework is necessary to prevent individuals from arbitrarily setting technical standards. And the House of Representatives has directed the FCT Police Command to allow a 90-day grace period for vehicle owners in the territory to comply with the directive on tinted windows and covered number plates. The House also instructed the command to cease the indiscriminate harassment of motorists and to release vehicles impounded solely for these violations, further directing the Committee on Police Affairs to engage with the Nigerian Police Force leadership to establish clear enforcement guidelines for such directives in the future. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by Mukhtar Tolani Shagaya, Additionally, the House called on the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture to collaborate with relevant stakeholders to launch a public enlightenment campaign informing citizens about the regulations and the process for obtaining the necessary permits or making required modifications. And now on aviation matters, the Director of Public Affairs and Aviation Authority NC. The authority is ready to sanction any airlines that delay. Ajimogu made this known in a statement in Abuja. Regulations remain central to the time had come for airlines to adhere strictly to the refund timelines, as failure to comply will attract immediate sanctions under Part 19 of the regulations. Meanwhile, the police command in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, has banned the procession of the proscribed Islamic Movement of Nigeria, IMN, to commemorate the 2024 Islamic Calendar Day of Ashura in Abuja. This was contained in a statement issued by the Police Public Relations Officer in the FCT, SP Josephine Adem. The police said intelligence had it that members of the proscribed group are planning a procession to mark the Ashura Day, and according to the police, antecedents have shown that such activities carried out by members of the IMN, popularly known as Shiite, often result in significant disturbances leading to anarchy and chaos within the territory. The police spokesperson therefore warned any individual or member of the proscribed organization to refrain from or shun any intended form of protest or procession in the FCT. And the magistrate court sitting in Ado-Ekiti has denied the human rights activist Dele Farotimi bail. Farotimi was arraigned in court for alleged defamation of the founder of Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, Are Afe Babalola. In his ruling, at the resumed sitting, the presiding magistrate, Abayomi Adeosho, adjourned the application of bail to December 20th after the counsel to the police, Samson Osobu, proved that the bail application submitted by the defendant was incompetent and irregular. Recall that a federal high court in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, had on Monday granted Farotimi a 50 million naira bail with a surety-like sum and landed property, and the case was adjourned to January 29th, 2025. Also, a Federal Capital Territory High Court sitting at Maitama has remanded the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, in Kuje prison. Justice Marianne Aneni issued the remand order after she adjourned the defendant's trial till February 25th, 2025. The development came on a day the courts dismissed an application the former governor filed to be released on bail pending the determination of the case against him. Bello, who piloted the affairs of Kogi State from 2016 to 2024, is facing trial over his alleged complicity in 110 billion naira fraud, and he's answering to a 16-count charge the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, preferred against him and two officials of the Kogi State government, Oricha and Abdusalami Hudu, who were cited as second and third defendants in the matter. The erstwhile governor has been in detention since November 25th. And now on education, the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa, will chair the long-awaited 2024 policy meeting in Abuja by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, as all is now set for admissions into the nation's tertiary institutions. The policy meeting, usually attended by vice-chancellors of universities, rectors of polytechnics, monotechnics, and innovation enterprise institutes, provosts of colleges of education, and other critical stakeholders, will authorize the commencement of this year's admission, consider and approve the guidelines for the 2024 admission exercise, review the performance of the 2023 admission exercise, as well as the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, performance of candidates. The board, in its weekly news bulletin, stated that this year's exercise will also feature the National Tertiary Admissions Performance Merit Award, where the overall winner will receive 500 million naira and other consolation winners will share 250 million naira collectively. And the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria and the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Mazi Yafa Musigwe, also of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, has expressed support for integrating the youth in the anti-corruption fight. Speaking at the commemoration of the International Anti-Corruption Day with the theme, Uniting Youth Against Corruption, Shaping Tomorrow's Integrity, Fagbemi said the youth have throughout history been at the forefront of transformative movements. Similarly, while addressing the press to mark the United Nations Day, Osigwe called on the National Judicial Council, NJC, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and others to institute a lifestyle audit mechanism to identify officials living above their means as deterrents against corruption. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund and intervention agencies set up by the federal government has projected that the beneficiaries of student loan may hit an estimated 2.1 million. The managing director of NEL Fund, Akintunde Soya, disclosed this at the inauguration and induction of members of the Sevicom Unit and Committee in Abuja. The disbursed funds encompass institutional fees paid directly to the institutions of applicants and upkeep loans paid directly to the account number provided by the applicants. And Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has launched the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem, urging Nigerians to extend support to the families of fallen soldiers and those injured in service to the nation. The governor, while unveiling the emblem in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, also announced a donation of 10 million naira to the Nigerian Legion, the body responsible for catering to the welfare of the families of deceased soldiers and injured veterans. In a statement issued by his chief press secretary, Rafiu Ajakaye, Abdulrazak praised the sacrifices of Nigeria's armed forces, describing their commitment as instrumental to the peace and unity of the nation and the global community. You're watching AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. When AM News returns, House of Representatives urge the police to grant 90-day grace period for compliance on tinted glasses. Details after this break. Please stay with us. For staying tuned, and now in business news. The Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RMAFC, have vehemently opposed President Bola Tinubu's controversial tax reform bills currently under consideration by the National Assembly, citing potential violations of the Constitution. In a 9-page memorandum signed by its chairman, Mohammed Bello Shehu, the commission detailed various legal, constitutional, and technical objections to the proposed legislation. The commission emphasized that Section 162, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, exclusively empowers it to determine an equitable revenue sharing formula among the 3 tiers of government, guided by principles of fairness and justice. And the naira crashed to 1,640 naira per dollar at the parallel market at the close of business on Monday, December 9th, 2024, and in 4 consecutive days of exchange rate appreciation since the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, migrated to the enhanced foreign exchange market system platform. This represents a 70 naira or 4.5% loss when compared with the 1,570 naira per dollar that was recorded on Friday, December 6, 2024, as the predicted resistance of forex speculators appears to have reared its ugly head. The House of Representatives has expressed concerns over the ongoing cash crunch in commercial banks across the country, calling on the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to address the situation, which has imposed significant hardship on citizens. In a motion brought under matters of urgent public importance by Honorable Oguru Emmanuel, the House highlighted the severe economic and social implications of the cash scarcity, which has left many Nigerians unable to access funds even for basic needs. Honorable Emmanuel noted that while the economic growth relies heavily on consumer spending and business investment, the persistent car shortage had become a major impediment to these activities. And global oil prices experienced a slight decline, dropping to $72 per barrel following the dramatic overthrow of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The political turn eased concerns about potential disruptions in the region, prompting Brent crude, the global oil benchmark, to fall by 0.11% to $72.06 per barrel. Similarly, the U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude price dropped 0.20% to $68.23 per barrel as of 9:50 West African time. The drop in prices followed a more than 1% rise on Monday, reflecting initial uncertainty about the situation in Syria. These drops indicate that although Syria is not a major oil producer, its strategic location and alliances with Russia and Iran contribute to its significance in the global oil market. And now moving on to the following, Chinese President Xi Jinping has warned that there would be no winners in a trade war with the United States and vowed the country would hit its growth goals for the year. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, who returns to the White House next month, unleashed a grueling trade war with China during his first term in office, lambasting alleged intellectual property theft and other unfair practices. He has pledged to impose even higher tariffs on China after taking office on January 20th, as Beijing is grappling with a shaky post-pandemic economic recovery. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has undergone surgery following a brain hemorrhage caused by a recent fall. The Syrian-Lebanese hospital in Sao Paulo made the announcement, stating that the operation was completed without complications and Lula is doing well and under monitoring in an intensive care unit. Britain and Germany have signed a joint action plan aimed at tackling migrant smuggling gangs as European interior and migration ministers met in London to boost cooperation. Belgium's Nicole Demore and Annelies Valinden, France's Bruno Retailleau, Germany's Nancy Faeser and Dutch Minister Marjolaine Faber all joined UK Home Secretary Yvette Cooper and Britain's Border Security Commander Martin Hewitt for talks. Ex-Police Chief Hewitt was appointed by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in September to help deliver on his pre-election pledge to smash the people smuggling gangs. A growing issue among European nations, increasing irregular migration, was also a major theme during the UK's July election, which swept Starmer's Labour Party to power. So far this year, nearly 34,000 undocumented migrants have reached British shores across the English Channel, arriving on dangerous flimsy vessels. At least 70 people have died, making 2024 the deadliest year on record. And now to the world of sports. The Nigeria Basketball Association, NBA, hosted about 100 young basketball talents in the maiden edition of its Junior NBA Clinic at the Sani Abacha Stadium Indoor Basketball Court, Kano. In addition to under 10 and under 17 boys and girls, the clinic also welcomed 50 local coaches for a physical refresher exercise designed to enhance their basic techniques in basketball. The exciting moment for the freshers and home-based coaches was part of the NBA League's commitment to supporting the growth of the broader basketball ecosystem in Nigeria and increasing access to the game across the country. Nigeria striker and 2013 AFCON winner Brown Ideye has joined 9-time Nigerian champions Eyimba until the end of 2024-2025 season. Sporting director of the Aba Giants and ex-international Ifeanyi Ikweme confirmed this, saying the talks have been going on for a while and was completed on Monday. 36-year-old Ideye has been without a club since leaving Kuwaiti side Al Yarmouk in 2022, but he is now set to stage a return to Nigeria's top flight, taken after former international teammates Ahmed Musa and Abdullahi Shehu, who are currently playing for Kano Pillars. The move will also mark the return of Ideye to the domestic scene 17 years after he left Ocean Boys in 2006. And that's it on AM News, and came to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276, and free to air on Archcomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Amina Jibril. Thank you for watching and good morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Yesterday, this story, or one of the stories replicated across national dailies, was very sad and nasty reports about how that between 47 and 50 people, including women and girls, some other report says this number includes children, were kidnapped in a village in Maradu local government area of Zamfara State. And now we understand as well that this is apparently not the first time such incident will happen across villages in that state, particularly in this particular local government. We have heard stories of kidnap. However, in this case, we're told that these bandits, as they are always referred to, came on motorcycles at about 1:30 a.m. Of course, that was the wee hour of that day, to take away all of these people. Now, residents are calling on the federal and state governments, that is the federal government as well as the Zamfara state government, to do something about this instant situation. Of course, as is always the case, the expectation is that the bandits will make demands by way of ransom, and then the community, in collaboration with the state government, will find a way to address their concerns and have their loved ones released back to them. Now the question perhaps is, for how long will this cycle continue? Experts have said there are two things fueling this situation. One, before now, they said was the herder-farmer clash. In recent times, the major culprits that those who follow these issues now point to is illegal mining across the northwest of the country, particularly in Zamfara State. But whatever the case may be, are we making efforts to address these concerns? Because this is a matter of life and death, apparently. Are we making the right investment in terms of infrastructure, in terms of addressing gaps in security architecture, to ensure that this issue is brought to an end once and for all? We have seen or heard rhetorics from the state governor, Governor Lawal, in recent times about these issues. We're seeing the incumbent Governor Lawal and former Governor Matawale, now Minister of State for Defense, all right, have their own back and forth regarding who is to blame for the security situation in our states. While apportioning blame will not solve the problem, the question is, how do we ensure that the people in Zamfara State can go to bed at night, sleep with two eyes closed? For some who may not be in that state, is a local problem. However, we now realize that insecurity in one part of the country has implications for several other parts of the country. I'm joined by Global Television's in-house security and political analyst, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, on the program this morning. Prof, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning.
I'd like us to begin with how we got to where we are now. I mean, you have followed this trajectory from the very beginning. At the point, it was Boko Haram, was insurgency. Those were the two phenomena, so to say. But today, there's a bit of very unpleasant evolution, in such a way that you're not hearing banditry, you're not hearing Lokalawa group, and so on and so forth. Let's drill down to Zamfara State. What exactly makes it peculiar when it comes to insecurity, especially in the northwest of the country?
Thank you very much. We try to forget histories and scenarios altogether in this part of the country. You should know that some years ago, the people of Zamfara were dying of lead.
Right.
Lead poisoning and others. The government did not address it. We felt it was just an issue of Zamfara and the rest. We did not go into investigating the activities that led to that poison.
Right.
And that gear up, we try to stockpile issues before attending to them. And we really don't like reprimanding anybody. Some other group of the people are big shots that they are untouchable. The north fundamentally is a vulnerable place where we give accolade to people who are subjecting us to poverty. And for a time, everybody now believe that they have to do something drastic to accumulate these riches, not worth. Fundamentally, it grew up from there to some extent when the intelligent corps couldn't come in to do anything about the situation. So if we want to really address this Zamfara issue, we have to go back to the basics. What really brought this issue? How did we get here? And what is the way forward? How did we get here in Zamfara? We got here because of neglect of attributed issues that now fuel up into what we are seeing today, whether we call it Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping, whatsoever name we call it, insurgency. It comes back to the elementary foundations of these issues. What are the primary objectives? What is the government supposed to do at such situations? These are the right way to go. Then we further narrow it down to the situation where we are today. Because when the lead poisoning issue came up, it becomes handled by the medical team. So where was the security team? Remember that even in medicine or in health, we still have health and medical security. So we have not trained anybody or any organization on these areas. So we are still totally blind to security, and we are going into the protective. So where would you protect what you don't know? That is always my question. But then, apart from that scenario and other scenarios that come up, let's come back to this present dispensation where everybody knows that a sitting governor in Zamfara was married to daughters of two prominent Northerners. These prominent Northerners are two good pies. So we have to sit down and say, why should these two good pies give their daughter out to a sitting governor? Why? What was their interest? Why the sitting governor? Yes, the sitting governor was married to one of them before he became governor. But the second one came when he was a governor. and what happens thereafter. So when we are not asking questions, when we are not looking from a scenario of where we are going to and where we are coming from, then there is a problem. There's a lacuna. There's a lacuna because we don't question scenarios, and it rises from that scenario to another pillar. When it becomes too much for us, we start crying foul. These are things that we are supposed to have contained. It can still be contained. Very well. It can still be contained, but then we have to look at the primary issues, look at the basics, and look at the secondary issues before we start finding a solution to them. That is another part. We should also understand that we also ask the question of where is the Zamfara gold? One of the former governors of Zamfara State, I don't want to call names on this program, brought the gold bars from Zamfara. So where are the gold bars today?
Are they not supposed to be with the CBN since that's a natural resource?
So why didn't we have gold refineries also exploring this gold for the benefit of Zamfara State?
Is that within the purview of the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development?
Before the purview, the Ministry of Solid Minerals was there before the gold bars were brought by the governor. So what has the governor and the government of Zamfara done about the gold bar? What has the federal government done? Why didn't investors come in and take over the gold industry? Because I think if people in Zamfara are benefiting from the gold alone, nobody will come from the situation of unrest we are into today. So what happens to the gold bar? How do they get this gold bar? Because you must have getting the materials, filter them out, put them in a funnel, melt them into gold to get the gold bar. So what process did they follow that time to bring the jingle of gold bars?
So, Prof, are you categorically saying that the level of insecurity we've come to see in Zamfara is directly in correlation with minerals?
Yes, very well. Very well. There is no two ways about it. And they know themselves. Then those who are into it, those who are illegally doing it, those who are into it, those who are benefiting from it, those who are recruiting the so-called badges, that because they did not come from the air.
So that sounds a bit hopeless. Pardon me, because when you say the state actors themselves know exactly what the problems are, and those who are the architects, and then nobody seems to be doing much to address it. Are you saying this is just a dead end for not just Zamfara but for the fight against insecurity?
When you're talking of that is why I say we leave the element of situations into the wrong places. Even in the Niger Delta agitation, it streamed from the scenario of politics of 1999 to 2007. This boys' agitation was actually, they were political talks. And when the people elected was not making them useful, they came out and revoked. And some people taught them what to do. They started kidnapping, and from kidnapping they started stealing crude oil. And that was a big market for all of them. Tom Polo, Bolov, Tom Ateke, Asari Dokubo and the rest. And today they are men they give honors to when we are not supposed to give them honors. So also it creeps to the northeast and the northwest today, and it's spreading to the southeast and the rest part of Nigeria. So it is a spread where you give people honor. When OPC was formed, who was Gani Adams in Nigeria? But today you must honor Gani Adams. So people get relevant when they are not supposed to be relevant.
So what would you say, for example, in terms of this narrative about giving honor to whom it is not due? I mean, given your own position on this matter, when you have a situation where we have seen governors, some of them past governors, others serving governors, who say that one of the things we must do going forward to address these issues of insecurity of any kind, particularly in the north, is to grant what is called amnesty to bandits. So what's your position on that?
You are granting amnesty. There are rules that goes with amnesty. One, you must accept that you want to be reformed. Two, we must know who was financing you. Three, we must know the source of your arms. Four, we must know the source of your training and the conduct of your operations. We must know how you carry out your activities. We must know your logistics. So there are fundamental 10 areas we are critical that your recruitment, these 10 areas which are critical in security must be well known, disabled, disarmed, incorporated before you are granted amnesty. You cannot just go commit all committable and you are granted amnesty. Amnesty for what? If 2 or 3 people are granted amnesty today, what of the remaining 100? They form another group. So we are doing it the wrong way, and we are saying you should fall back because of the same political gladiators. They want to give amnesty because they don't want their names to be mentioned.
Is that what you think?
Yes, that is just the truth. You want to carpet the process because you don't want your name to be mentioned. You want it being done speedily because you don't want them you be informed. But when the activities were going on, you were the beneficiary. So a lot of them know that they have benefited from this and they just want to maintain what they are benefiting from.
So how can we address the issue of illegal mining? I mean, the whole thing appeared to have come to a head a few months ago when even up to a place like Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde came out and said that dozens of mining companies in Oyo were not even formally regularized or regulated by the authorities. That's in Western Nigeria, Southwest Nigeria. And the case is apparently worse up north, for example. So what do we do about illegal mining? Because we understand that there are even Chinese people who are part of this whole mix right now. Is it such a complicated and bad situation that cannot be fixed?
Yeah, it's something we can fix. Just as I said, we have not trained our security personnel on what to do. Let me give you an instance. When Julius Berger was constructing the road from Mina to Kotongura, we have a place we call Garden Tegina or High Tegina on the road. Julius Berger was there for over 1 year or so. All they were doing was taking away mineral resources from that place. The total sum of the contract and what they took away was more than 10 times or 20 times the total contract sum, and nobody challenged them. And illegal money is going through every day. I went to Ogun State and I saw vehicles moving from that axis of Idiroko and the rest. And at the point I said, please, let me see what is actually there. I tested and I said, this is lithium. And that activity was going on. And even when they were arrested, the custom authority ordered for the release of those vehicles immediately from the presidency. These are the things that we face, and these are the procedures that happens every day. So if such activity has been going on for years, more than 10 years and the rest, you should know how much the nation is losing. So most governors and ministers we appoint, the executives don't even know the minerals we have. Like they really said, from Saki in Oyo State down to some areas of Oyo has a lot of minerals deposit. Most governors don't even know what they have in their state as minerals. If you ask them why do they want to become chief executives of the state, they have no answer to give you than, I want to keep it in record that I have made it and I was once the governor of the state. So also our presidents. They have no reason because they don't know how to improve on human capital resources.
That means you're saying inadvertently that Bishop Matthew Kukah was right when he said that no president was ever ready since 1999 to lead this country.
It's not even 99 alone. Apart from the generation, the first generation of our nation, when it comes to Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello, Azik, Awo, Mbadiwe, and a lot of them from that generation who were looking at Nigeria critically, from Agu Ironsi to the present day, were just people who came in because they just want power. So you should know the radicals that bring Agu Ironsi into power. So he was not set to become the head of state. So also Gowon. So also Murtala Mohammed. So also Obasanjo. Obasanjo was Murtala. What we know that time was that he keep the Murtala keep the ball rolling and Obasanjo score it. Shagari came just because they wanted democracy to return back to Nigeria. Not because he was prepared. In fact, if you look the runs of 1979 to at that period, it was a cloud of I want to become. Okay, let's just choose the person that will not give us headache as we hand over as military men. And it comes like that when Buhari took over to when Babangida took over. It was a power play issue, and Babangida put Shoniko there, and it was thrown away by Sani Abacha. And Sani Abacha kicked the bucket, and Abdul Salam took over, and we all know that Obasanjo was not prepared to become the president of Nigeria. He was just coming out of prison, or let's put it, incarceration, and they gave it to him because they want to keep some record to themselves. So nobody since 1966, January 15 to today, has already planned for Nigeria ahead.
All right, let's begin to wrap up now, Prof. As it stands today, it has already shown that the security issues of our states and across that northwestern belt is quite, if you like, grave. But let's talk about the security operatives. I mean, we have the security men cutting across police, NSCDC, Army, Air Force, and what have you. How is it that we still are having this situation regardless of all of these things I've mentioned? Is it that we are now overwhelmed as a country and we say, well, this is the phase that we have to deal with, and let's just allow it be?
So many things are happening in the security world that people don't understand. And let's bring the understanding. I won't advocate for something I can't really project on. Then, secondly, what happens after I've mortgaged my personality, my life, and everything to a system that is not functioning? One, from the first cadre of security to the last, we are empty, and we refuse to enhance our intellectual and intelligent levels. Two, up to today we have not deployed technology because we don't even know the format that brings technology, because you cannot just deploy any technology into an area that you don't know. Three, a lot of people who are service members and managers don't even know some certain areas in Nigeria.
In terms of the geography of the country?
Yes. So you cannot say, I start serving and I was an ADC, or I was a chief detail to this politician, to that politician, and I came to this table to become the chief executive, and you think that you are going to be effective. No. You are just a political jobber to me. You are not a professional. So you must have knowledge of your environment at any time, and when they call you, you are not supposed to say, which local government are you talking of? Or where is that local government in this country? I'm just hearing that name for the first time. It is madness for a security service manager to make such assertions. So these are the things that we have to really look at. And when we look at them, we should also give room for people who are actually detailed in knowledge to handle the security situation. I will give you, people has asked a lot of time why the British police not carrying arms. Smith Steve was not a policeman, but they gave him the sole administrator of the police in Britain, and it changed the narratives. And that is why the British police don't carry arms, because he was a security professional.
But he wasn't a police.
And he was never a policeman. Professionals, this is only where we are failing. A lot of the professionals who serve with governments are not uniform members. They are not. The moment you make it a uniform member, then you are going to lose it out, because esprit de corps must work. Colleagues must come in. Family and friends must come in. That is why we get it wrong all the time. We need somebody who will stabilize the security situation and then hand over to another person who will take over from him. That is only where we can get it right. So we go back to the root. You can't be cutting the leaves. Here we cut the leaves, not even the branches. Not to talk of the stem.
Or the roots.
The root is far from us.
Yeah, interesting. So on a final note, what must we do in this case, whether the state governments or the federal government? Because whether you like it or not, every time it happens, the state governments will turn to the federal government and say that security is the exclusive preserve of the federal government. Ironically, the state governor is called the chief security officer of his states.
Yes.
So how do we strike a balance in this regard in ways that are practical and bring solution?
Yeah, the federal government can actually take over the state for now, take over the whole nation for now. But there in the states, remember, we still have the Security Council, the state security councils.
Right.
We report back, which the governor is the chairman. So they report back all the activities of the states. So we can program a system where in every senatorial district we have what we call a surveillance monitoring system, also a protocol protective system for the people, and that reverts back to the state, which I will call the terminal, the state's terminal system. Then we expand back to the main terminal, which is the centralized terminal system. So when there is an output of activities, it is quickly noticed by everybody, from those senatorial districts to the state, to which I call the feed terminal, the state terminal, and the main terminal. So you can always say this is exactly what has happened in this place. By so doing, you have already finished the whole problem. You have solved it without going anywhere.
All right, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for, again, coming to share with us very invaluable thoughts of yours this morning. We're taking a quick break, everyone. When we return, we'll talk about the war against corruption and what exactly it is that we have recorded by way of success, especially from the anti-graft agency standpoint. All of that coming right after this short break. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
for staying with us. The case of Nigeria is quite an interesting one because of the evolution and the developments that we get to see, especially at the level of leadership. For many people, the argument has been that until as a country we get it right with our leadership style, our priorities, and how it is we see the rest of the world, we are likely going to make little or no progress. But the question is, with all of the travels that President Bola Tinubu has embarked on in recent times, are we not supposed to get some mileage, as they say? Are we not supposed to move from point A to point B, whether it's in the way we interact with other countries of the world, in our local economy, the way we drive transformation or reforms in education, in health, in infrastructure, and what have you, I mean, going forward. But that hasn't been the case just yet. The president, by the way, Mike, has said again and again that, look, whatever we are doing right now has an incubation process.
Absolutely.
Period. So it's not going to happen at the snap of fingers. It's not going to be something that will be magical. So Nigerians will have to give us some time,
Sometimes.
follow some slack, be patient, and so on and so forth. But we are also seeing people, ironically, from amongst those around the president who say that, look, these reforms are necessary, but they are a bit drastic
And of course,
in nature. But the president appears to be turbocharged, as they say, all right, about this whole thing, because he believes that this is what we should have done years before today. So rather than keep waiting and postponing the so-called evil things, why don't we just
the government to come.
get it done and over with once and for all?
And also the fact of, trust deficit in the country, from Nigerians is still very high. We've seen government comes in to say, we'll do this, we'll do effect change and all of that. At the end of the day, nothing to really show.
Right.
So we've also seen government said, we're fighting corruption. But at the end of the day, we are hearing cases of, no corrupt practices and allegations coming from that, in quotes, government. So it's a very big issue for this government. Yes, they might have good intentions, but for the mere fact that for the past, many Nigerians have seen that leaders have not really prioritized, the interests of the country. If we look at issues of mismanagement of funds, it's still ongoing. It has been a conversation since we had our independence. Corruption has been a practice that is really drying up the country. So all of that has reflected on why Nigerians are feeling that, look, yes, the government might have a good intention, but the institutions we are surrounding the government, the factors that are surrounding all of these implementation of government ideas, and sometimes the reforms that has been taken, sometimes has, does not really get to work at the end of the day. So they may wait for 4 years, they may wait for 8 years, at the end of the day, not really sure. Secondly, it's about continuation. We've also seen when government comes in and then they have another plan entirely, from what the president of the other government. So are you sure that what you have started or what you've started today will be sustained? Because it's not just about the one-day stuff. World Bank are saying Nigeria will have to continue from where we are, I think, for the next 20 years or 16 years. So it therefore means that do we say that President Tinubu will be the president for the next 20 years of the country?
Of course, the Constitution says no to that.
No to that. So automatically, are we sure that the next president after him will not come back and say, look, it looks like the subsidy thing is not working and all of that. Returns it looks like the floating of the naira is not a good policy and all of that. So it raises question about how we can sustain where we've started and how this result can start, yielding. So that's the major concern this government are grappling with.
When I talk to, development economists, they say, look, you need to take advantage of the low-hanging fruits first, right? Do the easy part first. Don't be radical, so to speak, about what policies you formulate or introduce and how you drive those policies. We've seen the handlers of the president's media, for example, try to do a great job, as it should be, right, with managing the situation regarding how these policies are being driven. But it bites really hard. Joe Igbokwe, for example, is, if you like, a staunch, unrepentant, rock-solid supporter of President Tinubu, and that didn't start today. He has been his backroom guy, so to speak, right from the word go. Very recently, in an exclusive interview, we watched him. We read about how that he also complained about economic issues in the country. He talked about how that he would buy, let's say, energy units of 20,000 naira, and by the time he comes to the office the next day, he's all blown out, which was not the case until very recently, and things like that, which means, as I say, we all go to the same market, we all have to deal with the same challenges, inflation, weakening of the naira. But just to mention
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Many thanks everyone for still staying with us on the program. Global concerned about the fight against corruption in Nigeria, which has also triggered controversies surrounding the Federal High Court remanding the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, at the Kuje Correctional Center, pending the determination of his bail application. Justice and adjourned the case until January 29th, February 25th for the continuation of the hearing. Joining us this morning to review this case and a bit to understanding well how concerning this is to a fight against corruption in Nigeria is Elder Bats Abiodun is here on the program. Elder Stedman, thanks so much, Elder, for joining us on the show this morning. Yes,
I'm happy for you having me.
Thank you. Looks like this is a political witch hunting against the Yahaya Bello. Are you seeing it from that direction?
I'm not saying it that is a political witch
hunt. You're the only person that probably,
everybody is not equal. Like, I was listening to El-Rufai the other day when he was on interview with two people, and when he said that everybody
to continue the conversation. Please stay with us. Sunday remanding Yahaya Bello in the Kuje Correctional Center, sparking a lot of concern. Those describing that to be, it looks that this is just a political case. What happened to other former governors who have been tried at the end of the day? Nothing to really show, not heard anything about them. What precedent would this Yahaya Bello case also show? Does it also therefore mean that the EFCC is so much committed? Last 8 years of the Buhari administration was after corruption. But at the end of the day, it looks that there are many revelations coming from that government to be, worse than any other government in terms of mismanagement of funds. We've seen the issue of the former CBN governor going with the Mefele and all of that. How do you feel these might be
against the government of the day, trying to just put up things and political stunt against Yahaya Bello?
This is what I have already said, that when the duel between the anti-graft agency and Yahaya Bello are into. But with what is happening, hope is being breathed in the minds of people that the anti-graft agency are all out to do the honest job. If not, how can you see the almighty Yahaya Bello being remanded in prison custody for up to 6 weeks, more than 6 weeks, close to 2 months? I have never heard of that of any past governor. And so with this, one could now say that even if the anti-graft agency had not meant a business in the past, the case of Yahaya Bello might be a different turnout of event. Because so many things are circumnavigating around Yahaya Bello. Number one, Yahaya Bello is a very haughty individual. It's a very arrogant individual. Everybody knows that. Number two, Yahaya Bello, first of all, which hunted himself. If you call what is happening a political witch hunt, Yahaya Bello, first of all, witch hunted himself. No matter how will you have served in the public service for 8 years, and when you would come out of that office, you went and obtained a court order to bar the anti-graft agency from inviting you for a talk. This is in agreement with a passage of the Bible. I have the Bible. There's a passage of the Bible in Proverbs chapter 28 verse 1. Mr. Mike, it says, the wicked man runs when nobody is pursuing him.
You've justified it running.
Yeah, Yahaya knew that he was going to be invited. He knew that he had done the wrong thing and that he was going to be invited. That was why he went and obtained a court order, an injunction barring the anti-graft agency from inviting him. And contrariwise, he had named himself as a lion, a white lion. That same passage of the scripture says, the righteous are as bold as a lion. Yahaya Bello calls himself a lion. Why was he not bold? Why was he not bold? If he called himself a lion, he should have been bold. He was not bold. He was running. Even when nobody was pursuing him. And he called himself a white lion and calling another person an antelope. Mr. Mike, let me ask you this question. Being a lion that you are caged, you don't have freedom of movement, and being an antelope that you have freedom of movement, which one would you prefer? Which one would you prefer? Leave it for me. I would prefer to be an antelope. I will eat whatever I want to eat. I will go to wherever I would want to go, than being a lion that I'm caged. Yahaya called himself a lion, but he is in a cage. Where is the lionic nature? Where is the lionic nature? Yahaya is so full of himself, so arrogant, so proud. Everybody knows that. All these adjectives that I'm releasing concerning Bello, Yahaya Bello, they are his nature. the governors that preceded him, nobody ever gave himself any name. The first executive governor of Kogi State, Prince Abubakar Audu, can Yahaya Bello stand him? But he came and he answered his name gently, Prince Abubakar Audu. Next to him, Ibro never gave tiger as a name to himself. Idris Wada did not say that he was a wolf. But look at Yahaya Bello, that is the least among them. He's the youngest. He is 49 years old. He is yet to be 50 years old. And these people that I'm mentioning, some are 60, some are 70. He is so arrogant. And there are some people who are deceiving him, they are pushing him, they are comparing him with Omar Ganduje. Omar.
All right, a lot of concern because being proud is a personality. The matter is about issues of concerning looting of the public funds and the money laundering cases that have been charged against it. But the matter is already in the court. But
what are the takeaways we must get from this? One, we saw how the governor, Usman Ododo, was trying to give him some coverage in terms of protecting the former governor. Those I felt, it looks like the governor was using the power of immunity, to also distract the matter,
also prolong the matter. We've also seen EFCC saying that it looks like it's in the custody of the government, is in the custody of the government of the Kogi State. So they visited Kogi State government lodge for several times to just get Yahaya Bello arrested. But at the end of the day, it looks like that didn't work. What should be, because if we have all of these practices in other states, this trend where governors loot funds and then they get to install someone that they feel can actually fight for them, does it really look like we're going to fight this to an end?
You were talking about Yahaya Bello being proud. Being proud,
we should delve on the issues of the case.
We should delve on it. Why I brought that is when you know that your hands are not clean and you go ahead and bring pride into it, it will cause problem for you.
Okay, you feel Adibini had listened to EFCC because EFCC chairman said, I tried to make meetings with him.
Yes.
You would have tried to seek.
Yes.
But that would have also shelved the case away.
It is very, very clear that Yahaya Bello is not the only corrupt governor in Nigeria. There are so many, I beg your pardon, to be conservative for mentioning names for now.
Absolutely.
But anybody who is a Nigerian would know that Yahaya Bello is not the only person caught in this web. But several people, they played their game. They knew that they were faulty and they stooped low. Yahaya Bello, you are faulty and you did not stoop low. That was the problem that he has. That is the problem he had. Even when the anti-graft agency extended invitation to him, he humbled himself and came. Why not? You knew that you were wrong. And you were still proud. You were still arrogant. That is the problem that he is facing. You are talking about his successor, Ododo. And I would like you also to give kudos to yourself for this broadcasting station. I and you, we have discussed that issue a number of times, and I told Ododo to steer clear of Yahaya Bello. Ododo has no problem. If you are staying on your own and somebody brought food for you on the platter of gold, you take the food and eat. That is Ododo. We know that the governorship seat is not supposed to be for Ododo, but it came to him on the platter of gold. And I told Ododo, using this broadcasting area, that You should forget about Yahya Bello. You should forget about Yahya Bello and concentrate on his governance. It appears that Ododo is listening to the voice of reason that we are giving to him. If not, why would you shield a criminal? Why would you shield a criminal? Allow Yahya Bello to face the music.
All right. Now, before we begin to wrap up, what will be your advice, to EFCC and government officials, because this also is sending a strong signal to, everyone in the public services to be mindful of one thing or the other. Would you appraise the effort of the EFCC on this other end for this milestone? Would you also, what message will you also give to public officials so as to be alert on all of that?
If you ask me a question, what is the posture of the anti-graft agency on this issue? I will say I'm very, very hopeful that the EFCC will do the needful. With the way things have gone so far, I am very, very hopeful that the EFCC's head man is not ready to take any nonsense. And if that is what he is all out to do, I encourage him not to listen to any voice of inducement, because all eyes are on him. All eyes, whether he sees it or he does not see it, whether he knows it or he does not know it, all eyes are on him. And my own advice is for him to stand strong. It's for him to stand strong, even if some irregularities had happened in the past. But if the EFCC stands strong in this space, they will write their name on the Guinness Book of Record. So I want to advise the EFCC to pursue this case to logical conclusion.
All right. Dr. Bartholomew Abochendu is an elder statesman and a public affairs analyst. Thanks so much for briefly sharing your thoughts and concern. We do hope some of these cases can be well addressed with enhancing the capacity and the sufficiency of our institution. Our institution must be strong, and the fight against corruption, according to Obasanjo said, it must start from the top. So the effort of government, the institutions in tackling and fighting corruption must be reflective of all of these attempts from the judiciary to the EFCC and everyone involved. And government officials must also be aware. Eyes are watching, and always, no one is above the law. The law will always catch up with you at every point. As we wrap it up on the show this morning, because of time, we deeply appreciate you for tuning in and staying with us on the program. My name is Iliket Michael, and earlier I had of course, was my co-host on the program this morning. Well, again, to stay tuned for 10 a.m. who brings you the latest on the sports, and of course the business point follows after suit and more details on the news on today's broadcasting. I'm Iliket Michael. See you again.